All right, so we're back. And this is, I'm going to show you some stuff. So during the Great War, I think this is kind of funny. These are things, trinkets that I picked up. But during the Great War, one of the things that they talked about during that exhibit at Mons was just the different sort of souvenirs and memorials that people would carry around with them from different places to, you know, remember different events and stuff like that. And this for me is sort of the stuff that just hangs out in my travel bag because it's easy to collect, it's easy to keep in one place and together, and it's just fascinating to me. So this is my keychain of like Japan stuff. So this is a little name tag. This is my name in Japanese, or it might be my name in Japanese. I haven't actually looked at it, but I'm fairly certain that's what it's supposed to be. And this is Tokugawa as well at the top here, because I got that at Osaka Castle. So that's one of the first things that I keep in there. I also have this Guanyin, Goddess of Mercy, as a keychain that hangs out in here as well. Because the idea of like Marie Reine du Monde and like Guanyin, the Goddess of Mercy, and how these are things that are connected, these ideas, is something that's sort of like followed me around, like in a post-COVID world, if you will. The need for, you know, grace, and all the rest of it, and that is sort of like a visible way of remembering that. For me, at least, it's a physical sort of reminder of that, because it's different. Like when I lived in Montreal and I walked by Marie Reine du Monde every day, you know, you look up at it and it just dominates your viewpoint. And so it's, you know, you always have that constant reminder of it, but this is an easier way to always have something like that with you. And so yeah, that's important to me. I also have this St. Pauli rip tag, essentially, and you know, again, like this is my favorite soccer club, even if I don't watch them all that often. This is my favorite club by far, and I will always treasure having gone to that stadium and getting to see all that stuff that I did. And then this is my giant collection of keychain stuff. So these are things that I collected from all kinds of places. This keychain has no purpose other than to collect tiny little trinkets like this. But yeah, the first thing I have is this faux hotel keychain fob from Haleiwa on the North Shore of Oahu. That's the first thing that I have on here, because I really love Hawaii. My favorite island is Kauai, but I think most people who think about Hawaii think about surfing, and so obviously Haleiwa is the place for that. That's, you know, the big wave capital, if you will, on the North Shore there. After that, I have a Tianmu Pagoda little keychain thing, which I got in Hue, because I went to it, and I like the idea of connecting in the story of the Celestial Lady with the idea of like Guanyin, with the idea of like Mary. Not that these are perfect things, but yeah, that's just how I remember or think about those things or connect those things, if you will, on my own. Then I have my little Wan Chai street sign, road sign. I got this at I got this in the hotel. There was like a small artist business center, and it was just a place that collected like things like this that were made by small artists. There was like postcards, stickers, you know, notebooks, whatever you can think of. but it was really cool. So I really liked these. I had stayed in Wanchai, so I was like, I want to get that, so I got it. I have my Itsukushima shrine keychain, because this Torii Gate is one of the most iconic images of Japan to some extent. I have this scarf that is the Rangers colors. My dad was a Rangers FC supporter, and so I got this keychain that was like #1 dad, and it had this little scarf on it. And so I decided to put that on here because it was awkward on the keychain that it already was on, but this was a fun little way to remember my dad who passed away from cancer. And then I went to when I was in Japan, when I was in Tokyo the second time, I want to say, I went to the Starbucks roastery that's there, and so they had this little pendant that I ended up getting to commemorate my trip there. But it was like the Starbucks roastery, and they had, you could do tours of it to see how they brew, how they roast the coffee and all the rest of it. I didn't do that part, but because I've been to one before, but it was really cool, and it was a really cool space and idea and thing to do. And then this is my collection of this really gets into the whole Angels of Mons thing. People collected these things like nuts during World War I, as different means of, like, some people for protection, some people out of faith, some people out of superstition, but I collect them as sort of mementos of places that I've been to. So on here I have, when I went to Mont Saint Michel, there's this little, I got this little fairy pendant. This is part of a necklace that I saw, and I was like, I've been to a lot of places that have fairy connections by this point in time, so I wanna have something to remember that on, like, my physical stuff with. So I got that. This is a little pendant. This is gonna be really difficult. This is a little pendant. You can't even see it. All right. This is a little pendant. This is from Maria Maggiore. This is from Ravina. This is she's the saint of tumors and cancer. And I had left a little offering, and so I was allowed to take one of these, so I added it on here. This is my St. Columba. This took me a really long time to find. I went on a lot of St. Columba's Trail and didn't even plan on doing so. So this was actually really cool to find. I found this in London, actually, at Westminster Cathedral, the Catholic one, not the Church of England one. So I found that there, actually, and I thought that was really cool, so I picked that up. Or at least I'm fairly certain that's Columba. It'd be awkward if it wasn't, but whatever. I have a different St. Columba thing as well, so it's fine. I also got this combined one of St. Patrick and St. Bridget, two other patron saints of Ireland. Because I'd been to Ireland, I've been to Northern Ireland specifically, which is where they're from. I think they're all buried in Downpatrick, or they're supposed to be buried in Downpatrick, which is also in Northern Ireland. So yeah, I have this one. I've had this for forever. This is my St. Jude pendant. I've had this since I was a teenager. Because St. Jude is the saint that, like, people don't like to talk to or ask for help, because he's, the patron saint of lost causes, but also because his name is too closely to be confused with Judas. People are worried they might get the wrong person. So I like St. Jude because of that. because it's like, yeah, like people don't like to talk to him because maybe they get the wrong person. So like I think that's kind of fun. Also, I mean, the Beatles, right? I have my St. Christopher pendant. My dad was a Christopher, and St. Christopher is also the patron saint of travelers. And so I have that. This is, so this one, and so I'm going to show you these two. I'll show you these two together, actually. I'll do that. We'll do it this way. So, when I went to Mont Saint Michel, I also got this blue Saint Michael pendant, because I just wanted to, you know, remember being there. And so that was specifically what I wanted to get from Mont Saint Michel. But then I also found that fairy, that little fairy token as well. So I got that because it was easy to have connections to all those things. But these two are really interesting to me. So one is Mary and one is Benedict. And this is a replacement. I had these two I got together. So when I worked in Montreal at that call center that I was telling you about, like in a different video, that was inside the Via Rail building at Place Ville-Marie, and was across the street from Marie Rien du Monde. The first day of training that I was there, we came back from lunch break, and I noticed these two things were sitting on the desk beside me. And I wasn't sure what had happened, so I asked because there'd be nobody sitting there. So I asked the person who was sitting in the desk beside if they knew who they belonged to, and then I asked the trainer who had been sitting across from us if they knew who they belonged to, and they said no. So I ended up inheriting them because of that. And so the first one is Benedict. Benedict is the patron saint of like preventing disease and illness, if I'm correct about that. But that's that one. And then Mary is obviously a pendant of Mother Mary. And so those two that I just randomly found on this first day of working at this new place, along with St. Jude, which I'd had since I was like a teenager, ended up becoming sort of the basis of this collection of things. And then it just became a very easy way to pick up things to remember places by. So like Maria Maggiore is to remember Ravenna, but also Italy. Columba is to remember going through Scotland. Patrick and Bridget are to remember going through Ireland. Jude is, obviously just to remember that, like, sometimes people don't talk to you because they're worried they'll get the wrong person when they talk to you. Christopher is obviously patron saint of travelers, but my dad, and also, travel in general.